上海没有封城，现在也不必。
下来，你叫我怎么办？我就烧了一天。
现在是自身灾害明显大于灾难本身。
Shanghai had been a model student in China's fight against COVID-19. For more than 2 years, most Chinese cities contained outbreaks of the disease by implementing citywide lockdowns and conducting mass mandatory PCR tests. But Shanghai residents had maintained their normal lives while managing to keep COVID-19 at bay. State media even coined the term precise pandemic control for Shanghai.
上海的所谓的精准防控，事实上就是说，你只要涉及到的风险区，我们一定要做到位，但是绝不能呢盲目的扩大。
Conducting rapid contact tracing and swift lockdowns of affected areas allowed most people in Shanghai to go about their lives as usual. The city enjoyed much success with its strategy to snuff out initial outbreaks. So how did it go so wrong so quickly? A leak from a quarantine hotel's air conditioning system in March proved to be Shanghai's Achilles heel. Since then, the city went from isolating a single building to several blocks at the same time. Even as cases surged into the thousands, authorities remained cautious in locking down the entire city until March 28th.
时起，上海市以黄浦江为界，分区分批实施核酸筛查。第一批浦东、浦南及毗邻区域先行实施。
Within hours of that announcement, the city's residents went into a buying frenzy. Online delivery apps were overwhelmed with orders, and shelves at grocery stores were emptied. As the lockdown brought the mega city of 26 million people to a standstill, the humanitarian cost began to emerge. The initial lockdown was supposed to be 4 days on each side of the river, but many of the isolated residential areas still reported outbreaks. The lockdown has been extended in many parts of Shanghai. Food shortages are now common. Tens of thousands of delivery workers can't do their jobs because they too are in lockdown. Desperation is growing amongst the city's residents. Many have been posting appeals for medication and treatments such as dialysis, because hospitals shut down their outpatient departments or wouldn't admit patients without recent PCR test results. This video shows a man dragging a stretcher behind an ambulance. According to local media reports, the man was unable to arrange transport for the discharged patient. Authorities have also announced that anyone who tests positive for COVID-19 will be admitted for treatment, even if they are asymptomatic. But the surging cases have overwhelmed the temporary hospitals, causing patients to stay in isolation sites with little utilities and supplies. Some patients also complained that these makeshift hospitals lacked medical staff and did not provide any treatment. This apparent recording of a phone conversation between a local disease control official and a citizen has gone viral across China.
我父亲前天是最后一次做检测，然后昨天的健康员的报告是阴性的，现在刚刚被疾控中心通知说他是阳性的。我们既然上面显示的阴性，那这个数据报告是假的吗？
投诉12345。
投诉12345，投诉谁？投诉健康云。
假对吧？120来接你的时候就不去，其实去了方舱他也没给你治疗呀。他轻症无症状，你不要把人家转走了，就在家里隔离。
对，
我都提了 N 次了，有人听了啦？没有人听的呀。
太过分了。
The Shanghai government issued a statement saying it is investigating this recording. It later replaced the health cloud system with a new one. The prolonged lockdown is also taking a toll on China's commercial hub. Companies such as Volkswagen and Tesla have suspended production in Shanghai because of paralyzed supply chains and lack of workers.
First of all, it is difficult to get the raw materials, and secondly, it's very difficult to get your goods delivered to the customers.
The EU Chamber of Commerce in China has also sent a letter to Vice Premier Hu Chunhua, imploring the Chinese leadership to take a less disruptive course of action. Shanghai's COVID-19 crisis has also led other cities in the Yangtze River Delta area to shut their highway exits and enforce quarantine measures on lorry drivers, further choking the supply lines to one of China's most important economic powerhouses. but the country remains determined to stamp the virus out at all costs.
要始终坚持动态清零总方针不动摇，时不我待，坚决果断，把各项防控措施落实到每一个环节。
The Shanghai government also backed away from its earlier plan easing its lockdown measures. After more than 2 weeks, many of the city's residents remained isolated in their residential blocks. No matter which path China's leaders decide to take, it will take a long time for Shanghai to emerge from this crisis.